There he goes.
Perfect timing, Aaron. Perfect timing.
Yeah.
I love that that's all you have to do to clean up your room.
So, okay, I'll
The
wait.
table.
We should be live. Let's see.
It's live
YouTube
or on
page
air
still
for me.
says stand by, but this thing tells me we're live. On air.
Oh no, I can see Aaron cleaning his place. We're live.
Oh, okay.
Everything later?
It's just my broadcast that's behind then, my YouTube page.
Great.
There we go. Okay.
Thanks for helping us open the broadcast on a high note, Aaron. You playing Mary Poppins.
Hey, we're here to have fun. Who needs to look professional?
Okay.
We're game developers. We don't know how. Every day is casual Friday.
Just.
What is he doing?
This is your glimpse ahead at Cognition, a cleaning thriller.
I was moving my more interesting books. Gotta keep it family friendly after all. Teen only.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just you, but or I'm just seeing Aaron. I'm not seeing the rest of us. I'm just seeing Aaron in the stream.
Oh, that is because I had clicked on his window specifically. My bad. I'm gonna set this up
This
on
is going to be quite
our
confusing for
page.
people in the first few minutes.
Yep.
Phoenix Online Studios was one guy the entire time.
Hello.
Hello. Alright.
They always say the programmers don't have enough face time. Now it's all programmers.
Yeah.
Alright, you got some viewers pouring in now?
Everyone's critiquing Aaron's camera composition.
Yeah, that's good.
Better?
Alright.
Everyone looks flattering in a high angle.
Okay, we've got some people starting to come in, so I'm going to queue up our first video,
Cool.
and then we
Hi,
can get
people.
going.
Welcome to the party.
Here we go.
Not to ever bury these roots.
I pray that I was whispering until because of me, because I couldn't. This will end.
Right, and that is the beginning of episode 4.
Ooh.
On a total up note. Okay, welcome everyone to our episode 4 launch party. We are so excited because episode 4 launched today. Woohoo! Woo! We're on Steam, we're on Good Old Games, we're in our store. It's so exciting. This is the last chapter for Erica's journey, at least in this season. And yeah, so we're here to celebrate. And with us today, going down the line, We have Richard Flores, our art director.
Hey guys.
Woohoo!
We have Gavin Green, our production coordinator.
Hello.
Woohoo!
Have Cesar Batar, designer and director.
Hello.
Yay!
We have Amy Brown, the voice of Cordelia Smith. And Aaron Light, our lead programmer.
Hello.
And myself, Katie Hallahan, also one of the designers. So to get started, and obviously this is the episode 4 launch party, so spoilers for episodes 1 through 3 are going to happen, people. Let's just go over kind of what's happened on Cognition so far, leading us up to this point. Cesar, why don't you take us away?
Yeah, so it's been quite a journey so far with Erica. So everything started, 3 years ago when Erica was chasing this guy called the Cane Killer that had kidnapped her brother Scott. And unfortunately, it all ends in a tragedy in a way because she's able to confront him, but she's not able to save Scott. And the Cane Killer escapes. And then the story takes place, the story resumes 3 years later as Erica is trying to deal with her abilities. And there's a new case, the Hangman case. And so Erica has this weird ability that she can touch something and see the past of things. And there seems to be somebody who knows what her power is and seems to be toying with her. In the first episode, we get introduced to a lot of the characters. We learn about Rose, who is actually going to be our guide through the rest of the episodes. She's going to train us in our powers and all the things that Erica can do. We meet John and Sully and Davies, who are all people that work with Erica in the FBI station. Towards the end of episode 1, we see that we fail once more. We fail to save Davies, who is Erica's boss, and she gets murdered by somebody who hangs her. What Erica also learns is that there seems to be somebody who's also murdering these serial killers by the way that they kill. And so through the whole story, we're gonna see different serial killers like the Wise Monkey, who cuts people's ears, eyes, and tongues. We're gonna see the Hangman, who hangs his victims, and then finally we'll get to the Oracle, who is here with us. The Cordelia Smith, and the voice of Amy is right. The voice that Amy Brown is right here with us. So, towards the end of the Oracle, we finally find out what the role of Cordelia is, how she's tied up to the Cane Killer, and who the Cane Killer is. And so, in this episode, the Cane Killer is all going to be about the chase, how it all ends. And so we're really excited. I mean, we put together an episode that is really all about the action and all about the thrill of the chase, and that's what you have in store with episode 4.
All right. And also, to start us off today, we have a little video from Pixel Tech, which is the company we work with for doing our 3D modeling. And they wanted to say hello. So here we go.
Hi everyone. On behalf of everyone here at Pixel Tech, I just wanted to say congratulations to everyone at Phoenix Online for a fantastic game. It's been a long journey for Cognition. I've seen it from its infancy until completion, and it's been an incredible journey, and we're all very thrilled to be part of it. So once again, on behalf of myself and everyone here at Pixel Tech, congratulations.
Right. And another very special hello from Raleigh Holmes, who plays Erica Reed, who's not able to be here today, but did want to say hello and thank you to everyone.
Hey guys. Raleigh Holmes, and I play Erica in Cognition.
join you for the launch party today, so I suggested that I put together a little video and introduce myself and talk a little bit about the recording process. Let's see, introduce myself. I am an actor and a singer, currently living in Los Angeles, California. I sing with the band The Scarlet Furies, which some of you might know did the song The Taking for episode 1, which my dad, Robert Holmes, and I wrote together. If you want to find more of our music, you can go to iTunes or CD Baby or other websites like that. I also have done some theater in a couple of films. I just completed a film this summer called Kill Me Deadly, which I'm very excited about. It's a film noir comedy, and it should be a blast. You should be able to find it this fall in festivals. Yeah, Cognition. Cognition was a really amazing experience. I'm very grateful to have been a part of it. It was really fun to record. We had a lot of laughs, but it was also really intense. We actually recorded in Boston, and I were in Los Angeles, and Michael and Cez were up north, and we would Skype during the sessions and give direction and record that way, which made for some pretty funny times. I'd say my favorite part about playing Erica was getting to just play with her sarcasm, do a lot of the snarky comments. You know, the way she's written, it's really fun to get to play with her attitude and say all of those lines. The hardest part was definitely when we had to do sound effects for pain. When she was being shot or stabbed or even just experiencing visions, which were painful, you know, we had to make sure we got sounds without dialogue, just the sounds of going through the pain, whether it was screaming or groans or things like that. Were pretty difficult to capture. It was a lot of me screaming over and over again and trying to make it sound like I was in agony. But we had a lot of fun working on that. Yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoy the episode. I'm sorry I couldn't join you for the launch. And who knows, maybe I'll be back in the future and get to give Erica another try. Thanks, guys. Enjoy.
And thank you, Riley, for sending that video over.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've got some prepared questions here that we want to talk about. So to get started, and we're going to try to not give too much away as far as spoilers and everything, but people are interested in hearing about Episode 4, the focus of the episode, what kind of story it is, and how it's different from other episodes, and how all of us feel about Erica's journey wrapping up. So let's see. We heard a little from Cez earlier, so why don't we start that one off with you, Rich?
Yeah, we've been in the heat of it for so long and in the trenches trying to get this game done. I didn't even realize we started this project like 2 years ago. It was quite a long journey. So now that it's done, I just can't get past the fact it's just surreal. So I'm really looking forward to everybody getting a chance to experience this last episode, which honestly is very different from everything else we've ever done so far in this series. And so it was definitely different for implementation purpose, from an implementation standpoint. So looking forward to getting some feedback on the gameplay and seeing if this is a direction we want to go in future games. I know this sparked a lot of ideas in Cez's mind, so I'm looking forward to a potential season 2 if everything pans out the way we hope.
Yeah. And how about let's hear a little from Amy. You've kind of been in this from a different side, playing Cordelia over the 4 episodes. So, what's that? How's your view on the progression of Cognition in that way?
Well, do you want my view as the voice of Cordelia, or the other view?
We'll get to that a bit. So maybe more your view as a fan or as a player.
Okay. As far as the voice of Cordelia goes, just watching the whole progression of everything, seeing how everything, just seeing how everything grows and just sort of moves together is just amazing. I mean, especially just like recording all the lines that just seemed so disjointed at the time, but then you see everything on the screen and go, oh, it makes so much more sense.
Cool. Says, how about you?
Well, I am, this was the final one. For a long while, I've been thinking about it, and especially after episode 3, because episode 3, I think it was a height for us in terms of how the studio came together to put that episode together, and I was very nervous all the time on how we're gonna top this off with episode 4. But I think that I've been reading some of the early reviews, and a lot of people are saying that this is their favorite episode. So I'm very glad that that's the case, because it's different. It feels different. It's an episode that is all about the action and the thrill and how to get to that final part of the episode. So it's just going and going and going. And so I think that it is it is what we wanted to do. Is how it is. I don't regret anything. Everything came out the way that I wanted it to see it. So I'm very happy with it.
Cool.
It should also be noted that I think every episode the designers have been trying to top each other. I think Katie tried to top you on the second episode, and that was really different and edgy compared to the first one. And Nick came in, and episode 3 was radically different also. And if it made you sweat a bit about episode 4, that's actually good. I'm actually wondering where we go next. So that's
yeah.
That's kind of
yeah. I always kind of felt like each episode ended up having its own slightly different kind of focus or different story type. Obviously they all fit together, but they definitely had some variations.
Definitely now, having taken a step back and everything, all the pieces are now in place, it meshed very well. Even though every episode was directed by somebody, it actually ended up working out, and I'm actually very happy about that.
Yeah. Aaron, let's hear from you.
Well, it's certainly been a long journey. I honestly didn't do too much programming for episode 4 for a change. Most of the interface is done by that point, but I did have a lot of fun setting everything up for Steam, and I am so happy that we're finally out on Steam. We just got launched like 40 minutes ago on the store, and got 60 achievements for you guys. There's plenty to aim for in the games. You can try to get all the different story paths. So we really hope that you enjoy it.
And finally, Gavin, our production coordinator who keeps us all on task.
My job is usually what you're doing now.
Yeah.
Going through everybody and hearing from them.
Stay focused.
Oh, episode 4, it is such a different pace from our previous ones. But then again, like everyone's been saying, each episode has developed its own focus and its own routine and its own flavor. But episode 4 is just the culmination of everything we've done with Cognition before. It is all action, just all the build-up's been made, so this is just a straight gun towards the end, and it's just a breathless experience, and I'm really happy to have been a part of it. But this is like people have said, the team has just been growing closer and topping each other with each subsequent episode, so this is really the best work we've had for everybody, and it's been a real pleasure seeing all of it come together.
There's one thing that when I was playing talking to the testers recently about episode 4, it's like they're telling me, somebody pulls a gun to somebody every 5 minutes. It's like, yes, that's exactly what happened. You see either, Erica pulling her gun or Cordelia pulling a gun, or somebody is always shooting or pointing a gun at somebody.
Yes.
You have a little gun fetish going there,
Susan? What was that, Rich?
I said, do you have a little gun fetish going?
I actually dislike guns a lot.
But they're great for dramatic purposes, so
yes,
use them if you can.
It's kind of funny because I remember in the first few episodes we kept running into the issue of trying to have a reason for her to not use her gun to solve every problem, because it's like, well, she's an FBI agent, so she has a gun. And then you kind of run into the reasons like, okay, just because you have a gun doesn't mean the solution to every problem is to shoot it at something.
Why not?
Mostly because it's an adventure game.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
when we make the Erica Reed FPS port, that'll actually be the solution to everything. Shoot
that
again.
Erica versus zombies concept art.
One of our artists did a Facebook banner style picture that was Erica shooting zombies, which was pretty awesome.
I can believe that. I can believe that.
Yeah. So Amy.
Yes.
So you talked a little bit about, kind of how recording was sometimes sort of disjointed, and then you get to see how it comes together. So one of the questions we got was people wondering if you can sort of tease a bit about what happens with Cordelia in the last episode.
Let's see. Let's see. There's definitely a change of heart. I mean, I think that's a good way to put it. As far as teasing goes, can I say Darth Vader?
So now you know. You're someone's father.
I don't know about that part, but
You gotta be more specific when you mention Darth Vader.
Yeah.
tease. Come on.
You don't want to give away too much.
But maybe you can tell us, Abby, how do you feel about Cordelia in general, like playing her through all the 4 episodes? Like, what do you feel about the character?
Well, I mean, I think saying she had a rough would be a bit of an understatement. I mean, I don't think that necessarily, justified everything, but, I mean, it sort of, I don't know, explains a little bit more, I think. I mean, she had a hard time of it. I mean, I feel bad for her.
It's good. It's good. And I must admit, I love how the writers and you, when you played it, did such a great job, because you played through episode 1 and Cordelia is she's an afterthought almost to the player. Like, okay, she's just this person I met once in the park. That's it. And then slowly she just gains more and more importance, and you get really into her character. And there's this big arc on that's really comes to fruition in episode 4, which is really great. So.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool, and I do have to kind of agree with the little things that Raleigh said about the hardest part being the noises and the sound effects and stuff. I mean, just the couple of times where Michael was saying, "Okay, now just cry." I'm like, okay, sure, I was okay. I mean, I've never been the best at crying on cue, it's just that plus the fact that when you don't really have a specific reason or something in mind to help make you cry, I mean, all you can do is make noises that either sound ridiculous or sound like something that should not be in a PG-rated game, so...
Do you ever use onions to help you out?
Onions only make the tears. They don't help with the noises. That's the problem.
That's true.
The tears don't record very well.
I've always seen Cordelia as I've always teased that Cordelia is sort of our Catwoman. She's a character that you can either hate or love or don't know exactly how you feel about her, and that's the overall reaction that we've gotten. Some people don't forgive her for what she's done. Some people don't know how to feel about her. Some people feel sympathetic toward her, and I think that's a great thing, because that means that we created a great character with her. And you obviously were a big part of that, to make people feel attached to a character that they shouldn't, in theory, be attached to.
Mm-hmm.
So good job.
Yeah,
thank you.
So on that note, who are some other people's favorite characters? It was another question we got, and then I was wondering about myself. Gavin, how about you? Who?
Terrence will always be my character, no matter what episode. I don't care if he's in it or not. I'm having an AFK sign made for me. even if I don't really have a position in which I can put it on a desk yet. Terrence will always be my favorite.
Yeah, I was kind of
But
disappointed.
as the episodes have progressed, Cordelia has definitely taken that active role of the character I want to see more of and experience more with. So in terms of Seth's analogy, I'm definitely on the love side when it comes to Cordy.
Aaron, how about you? Who's your favorite character?
Hard to say. I could say Erica's brother, but he doesn't have much screen time, so I would probably have to say Sully, just because of the incessant lunch jokes that we've made in chat.
Yay, Sully!
Nobody likes Gallagher.
He's a bitch.
Gallagher's cats like Gallagher. What about you, Rich? Who's your favorite character?
I don't know. I mean, I was the main character to stand out. I do kind of wish I kind of wish John had played a little bit bigger role in the later episodes. I found it was interesting the first one, and then he kind of vanished a bit in the other ones. Personally, if we could, I would like to see more of him. But Terrence is also I think the one I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get the chance to see in episodes 2 and 3. He always had a little bit of style to his character, which was kind of cool for the amount of screen time he had. And then there's other characters like even McAdams. I found that as the story progressed, she wasn't quite as douchey as you thought at the beginning. So that was kind of cool.
I like McAdams, which I feel there are a few people do because he's kind of a jerk, but I kind of liked making him that way. He's a jerk, but I always felt it's like, well, he's got reasons to be kind of a jerk to Erica and to be pissed about various things. And obviously he's no angel too, however, so.
We sort of show a little bit of that side in episode 4, so that he's not always seen like the douche or the reasons why he's like that. I mean,
But the one other thing I liked about McAdams was, I think in the first episode, you hear of him, but you don't really see him at all. So he's just this presence in the background. He's just this ominous person you don't want to deal with. And then in the second episode, he kind of pops in, and then, oh, this is the guy. And then you finally get to know him, and he's worse than you're pictured. So
Yeah.
that was kind of cool.
I did like that we were able to do that, and it came off well in the game, because that's one thing that'll get me about TV shows is like, oh, all of a sudden there's this character here, so probably they're about to be important, even though you've never seen them before. So I like that we were able to successfully slowly introduce people. Like Cordelia was smaller in the first episode, but very much obviously got much bigger, and McAdams gets mentioned, and then he shows up, and so forth. All right. And yeah, Amy, do you have a favorite character other than Cordelia?
Well, I'm a little biased. Honestly, I think. Oh gosh. I think I would have to probably go for McAdams.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Says, how about you?
well, obviously aside from Erica, because I'm really attached to Erica, I would say I would have to say Cordelia. Cordelia is my.
Aww.
Yeah, I was really attached to Cordelia. I cried the first time.
Stop that thought there, no spoilers.
No, he just said the first time.
Sometimes you just gotta cry a little bit. Okay. Right. And one of our other questions, did your perspective or approach to the story change along the way, and if so, in what way? We can probably start that one off with Cesar. That kind of stuff would start in design, I would think.
Yeah, that's an interesting question because, when we wrote the first draft of the story that was approved and final, and we say we're going to go with this, that was actually really different to what ended up happening once we started working on the episodes. And so, we didn't have any ideas of some of the things that were going to happen as we started working on it. And a lot of that changed. it stayed this, it was the same overall idea, the same sort of beginning, and it was going towards the same ending. But a lot of that really changed in the way that it was planned out.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Did you find that when Nick came on, because Nick kind of came in the middle of the production, and he picked up the middle episode, did you find that radically shifted the outcome of the storyline?
No, actually, Nick didn't really affect the storyline per se. It was more like by the time that Nick had come in, we had already changed what episode 3 was going to be. Episode 3 had the Oracle, or it used to be Max's girlfriend in the original story, and it actually wasn't the Oracle. It was called the Black Widow. That was going to be the third episode, and it was this woman that would kill all of her boyfriends or husbands or whatever. But yeah, that totally radically changed by the time that Nick came on, because we wanted to evolve on the story of the Kane Killer, and so through the Oracle, we managed to put that together. And so episode 3 and episode 4 became a bigger thing, or a more cohesive thing.
And this was a fun one. Someone was wondering if we've ever lost sleep or had nightmares over the dark subject matter in the game.
Oh, over the dark subject matter. Because sleep.
I had a dream last night. I was going to mention this as Scrum, but I had a dream last night where we all visited Elisa in her house in Italy, and she was playing on the Wii U. Hi, Elisa.
Hi, Elisa. For those who don't know, Elisa Pavinato is our 2D art lead, so she's responsible for many of the gorgeous backgrounds and cutscene panels that you see throughout the game.
Also, the person that made us our zombie shooting Erica.
Mm-hmm.
And
I thought it was Paolo. One of the other.
Paolo?
I think that was Paolo. Yeah.
Well, Lisa's responsible for the pink poodle, and
yes.
the pink poodle is everyone's favorite character, which is why no one brought her up. It's just not fair. But I've lost sleep over it when you're in the production trenches. It doesn't necessarily affect you immediately. But afterwards, when you're sitting down and chatting people idly with my other developer friends that are working on mobile apps and cute little fuzzy sheep games and everything like that, I'm like, oh yeah, and this killer does this, and you discover this later on, and they're just kind of blankly staring at me. It sort of dawns on me slowly that my game is not necessarily the brightest and cheeriest of the bunch.
Yeah. I kind of still can't wait for I still can't wait for my parents to actually get through episode 2. For when I inevitably get the question, be like, "You wrote this? What?"
That's gonna be an interesting conversation.
Where did we go wrong?
Why are there eyeballs?
That's where I lost sleep, to be honest. If I lost sleep, it wasn't because of the subject matter. It was that the people I work with came up with this. Especially Katie, one of the most fun people I know. Very, very funny and always laughing. And she writes the most creepy, grotesque episode in the series.
Note to
Yeah, I
self:
think we all think twice when Katie stays at our places. We'll be sleeping with an eye open.
Locked ears. Actually, no. Don't sleep with it open.
Eye open. Bad idea.
the goggles, they do nothing.
This was a terrible plan.
So, to be honest, working remotely is probably a good thing, because at least if you're going to kill any of us, it's kind of a trek. We can see you coming.
Yeah. All right. So we get two questions here that kind of come together, sort of about the same thing. Looking back, what went well in developing Cognition, and what could have gone better? In other words, is there anything we would do differently in the future? And sort of related to that, we were asked, was there a hardest moment in development when you kind of just wanted to throw up your hands and say, "That's it, I can't deal with this." But, and if so, what that was, and how'd you get past it? Let's see, Aaron. Let's go back over to you.
Let's see. I've certainly had a lot of interesting programming challenges, especially in the beginning, because as mentioned in previous video casts, we were basically developing episode 1 at the same time we were building the tools. So that was one place where I lost a fair bit of sleep, is trying to get everything working in time for people to do stuff. But over time it got a little better, and then I just started losing sleep over designing the overly complex GUIs that people were requesting of me. So, but it was all worth it in the end. And, I'm glad we got through it all.
Let's see, Rich.
Well, I think we want to throw in the towel on just about every episode release. About a week or two before. When the game is nowhere near ready to ship. I think we all were ready to throw in the towel at that point. I mean, for sure. I mean, I've already seen the progression. If I look at the trailers of the first episode to the ones of the fourth, you can already see the characters act better, the facials are better, the general game looks better. There's definitely been a steady progression. If there is ever a second season, I definitely think the bar is going to be raised even further. I think that's one thing I like about POS, is that every project we do, we just keep trying to push the envelope a little bit more. And there's TSL, the first episode, if you go back and look at it, it was really, really rough. And then every episode of that got better and more impressive, and the same thing with Cognition. So I think as long as we keep progressing, it'll be good. And I expect that the next project we do, as soon as I read the script, I'll be like, oh my god, how are we going to pull this off? But that's part of the fun, is figuring out how to do it. So Saz, let me know what's the next crazy thing you want us to do, and after choking you,
We'll touch on that a little bit later on in the stream. Let's see, Gavin, how about from the production standpoint?
Well, production is the job is basically dealing with all these extenuating circumstances and putting out fires all day. I don't think there's ever been a time in which I just want to throw my hands up and just leave my desk. But then again, I'm not necessarily one up all the night before working on the logic for the final release build or meeting a milestone or anything like that. But like Rich said, it's been an evolving set of challenges, and largely we've risen up to them as a team, and it's been really cool to see that happen frequently. Not that we've put ourselves in positions that we need to rise up, but whenever we do, it's immediate. But yeah, I can't really think of anything that was too soul crushing. My soul's just crushed a little bit on a daily basis, so it's like being vaccinated.
And Says.
I remember a particular time when I was like really frustrated. It was 5 days before the press bill of episode 3. I have been really busy with Mobius, and so I haven't been able to like really look at the episode for a little bit. And so I'd say, okay, finally I have to play through this episode, see where we are, so that we can have a plan to finish it. And then I played through the episode, and everything was broken, and nothing was the way that it was supposed to be. And we had 5 days for a press bill. And I said, this is just not gonna happen. I remember I would type my notes, and I would like scream through the notes, like, why is this broken? And so somehow in 5 days we managed to get a press bill, so that was really impressive. But that feeling of wanting to like, how do we do this? Yeah, and I guess that the thing that we always keep saying is that next time we won't leave the ending until the very end. That's where we need to get better.
Well, at least this time around we actually attacked the ending a few weeks before. Whether or not it was the last thing we ended up working on. What?
Right.
Still.
It was a pre-ending.
Yeah, it was working 2 weeks before the release, at least. It wasn't the last day of, like TSL.
Yeah, I think the thing we always say we're going to do differently is like, okay, we're going to have it ready like a week before launch next time, and that never quite happens.
Well, it says if you stop moving up the dates, maybe you might never get it. But yeah, no, look, it's always gonna. I think no matter what we end up doing, we're always gonna be pushing it to the last minute. It's just how we are. We're just never satisfied with everything, and we're just gonna keep trying to make it as best as we can until we're absolutely out of time.
We have far too
We
many
have a good we have good checks and balances. Says is like he's all like when the art people are really like, no, we want this to look better. He's like, no, we have a delivery date. This needs to go out. I think episode 4, he was the one saying, no, it's got to ship, it's got to ship, it's got to ship. So.
Yeah. And one nice thing about Steam is that when we do have to do further fixes, we can just deploy them immediately now. So
That would be nice.
it makes it a lot faster to patch, at least for Steam.
All right. Well, I think we are ready to bring in our other special guest, which is, of course, Jane Jensen. So let me just get the link over to her.
To answer a question in the chat, I have no idea why there's a women's suffrage video in the related video section. YouTube agrees.
I saw that one too. And yeah, we're going to be taking some Q&A from you guys in the audience a little bit later as well, so put your questions in there, and you might also be able to win a copy of something from our store. So we want to know what you want to know. Here we go. Hello, Jane.
Okay.
I think you might be muted. It usually does that when you first come in.
That's
that?
tough.
There you are.
Hello?
And then
Okay.
let me just see if I can find my little thingy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my custom overlay.
Mm-hmm.
Does that work?
Your camera is still off, so I'm not sure.
Okay. Trying to turn it on.
Yeah, if the camera's off, it doesn't show the overlay. So.
Yeah.
It's an adorable picture, though.
Yeah.
Well, I keep clicking on the little camera thing and it says turn camera on, but then it doesn't appear to be doing it. Hang on. Maybe I probably already got it. Oh, well. I'll keep trying, but we can go ahead.
At least we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Yes. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Well, congratulations,
there we go.
guys. Oh, you got it?
Oh, what? You were there a second ago.
There we go.
All right, there we go.
There we go.
Woohoo.
Yay.
Yay. All right. Yes, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Well, congratulations on you guys for getting out episode 4 and finishing up Cognition. That's awesome. It's a huge project to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you. Thank you. And of course, thank you for your help with helping us out with the keeping an eye on the story and
yeah, it was fun.
Getting all down to the good parts and trimming out some of the fat we had in there.
Yeah.
All right, and yeah, we've still got some other questions that were sent in beforehand. So one of them was some people were wondering about our experiences with Kickstarter and Greenlight and what it's like running those campaigns and interacting directly with the fans. Of course, we've all been on Kickstarter, Jane as well, and then we went through Greenlight for Cognition. So Jane, why don't we start with you talking about some of your experiences with Kickstarter?
Yeah, I haven't really done much with Greenlight because I know you guys went through all that with Cognition, and I mentioned it in a few places, but I haven't really dealt with the nitty-gritty of that. But yeah, we did a big Kickstarter campaign a year ago. God, like a year ago, March. It was a lot more work during the campaign than I anticipated. I mean, every single day you're trying to do an update or change a tier or respond to, do a new press article or something just to keep the energy up, and it was really scary too. So just wondering if you're going to meet your goal, and people don't like this or they don't like that, and so it was a very stressful period. And we also were on a long time. We did a 45-day campaign instead of the usual 30. So so it was tough, but I mean at this point I'm thrilled with the fact that we've been able to do Mobius, and we probably wouldn't have been able to do it with any other way. So it's been a good thing.
Ooh. Yeah, I think it's kind of different because since you were doing your Kickstarter, after the boom from the Double Fine as opposed to ours, which was done beforehand. I think at that point in time it was kind of a little bit more of low-key. There wasn't quite as much expectation.
Yeah.
Coming into it.
Yeah, I remember when we were talking about Kickstarter, we talked about it for a long time, and we weren't even, do we want to do it? Is it worth it? Is this even going to, is there even a chance it's going to pan out? And I remember when we put it up, not like one person within the first hour gave us like $1,000. I was like, wow, people are really.
I think she's in the chat right now. Candice,
yes, that was definitely Candice, because I remember her name. I was like, oh my God, someone gave us $1,000.
And,
so hello and thank you, Candice.
It was the moment I realized, wow, this could be something, and it's great that it can give the opportunity to the fan base to actually be involved in development and be more involved. And I think it meshed with what we did because since we were always a fan game and we worked closely with the community, since we all came from the community of adventure games, I think it meshed well with us. I don't know for people who are more corporate how radically different it was to be interacting with the fans. With TSL, we were already used to taking input from fans and putting that into the subsequent episodes. So I think for us, it was more just realizing, oh my God, people are actually willing to help us out. They like our stuff enough to be willing to give out money. That was a game changer for us. So it definitely allowed us to get this project done, which we never could have otherwise. So.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's see here. Some other questions people were asking. Another question we had, more aimed towards Jane. Our friend Simo, who's done some articles and reviews for us, was wondering, you're working on a few big games right now all at the same time, and how would you compare the different areas of emphasis in Cognition when compared to Mobius or the mysterious MGX? I think he's just digging for MGX information.
I think the biggest difference between Cognition and Mobius is, first of all, the story, because Cognition is really a hardcore, cop, psychological serial killer drama, whereas Mobius is more, gosh, I don't even know what to say, just more historical and world traveling and conspiracy theory based. And the locations are really different because Cognition's pretty much set entirely in Boston, and Mobius is in Venice and Cairo and different places around the world. So and the art style is really different too. So, but I really wasn't that involved with the actual production on Cognition. I reviewed the story and the design docs and the scripts and gave suggestions, but I was so busy on Mobius and MGX that I really didn't have a lot of time to be that involved with production, which was fine because there were some great designers already on there, and it's actually been nice because now I get to play it. And I mean, I remember the story and I'll remember certain lines of dialogue, but it still kind of feels like I'm playing the game like a regular player, for the first time.
Let's see. And so this is an interesting one, good for everyone, for different fans' points of view from, players of adventure games and designers and whatnot. Stephen from over at RPG Fan was wondering, what are your thoughts on puzzle design in point-and-click adventures? Because we had from the golden age back in the 90s through today's adventure games a lot of different approaches being emphasized. Modern games like Telltale's games, for example, tend to be more streamlined, whereas the games that people in this group have been involved in, Cognition, Grey Matter, Mobius, from what I've seen of that, involve more complex puzzles. So what are people's thoughts on that? Let's see. Says, how about you?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that. Oh, and actually, I've talked to Jane about it a lot recently. That um, it seems like depending on what kind of story you wanna tell, if you want people to move forward, a tendency to have an easier side of the puzzle side, so that you don't frustrate players. Um, it seems to be the thing that you want to go for. But on the other hand, you have to you know, not forget the adventure community, and give them enough challenge that they will enjoy the story. And so, you have things like, for example, which is very new, like The Walking Dead, which is really not puzzles but all choices in the game. And I think that's an approach that works really well. I did try some of that in episode 4, and you get to have some choices that that mark a really big event towards the end of the game. Um, but I mean, personally, I still love puzzles, and I like to design them. So it really depends on the kind of game that you're doing. Jane, what do you think about that?
I think the thing that adventure games are always ultimately about the story. So the thing I like to avoid is having that, and I remember this really clearly in like King's Quest IV, where there's like one pixel that you have to hit in order to do everything else, and you wander around 50 screens trying to find that one pixel, to figure out how do you feed the unicorn or whatever it is. That's the kind of thing I think is really important to avoid nowadays. I think it's important that the player always understand their goal and what their objective they're trying to achieve, and they may not be able to figure out how to solve the puzzle box or something, but they know that there's a puzzle box there, and that's what they have to do to get to the next thing. So they could go online and look for help or something like that. And a lot of games have built-in hint systems now, which I think are useful. I mean, we're doing that sort of for Mobius. It's a fairly high level, but it's something you can turn on or off. So I think the key is it's just to not have there be any blockers to the story, to be able to have, you want people to get into it and just be like page turning and page turning and page turning, and not want, you get to the end of the chapter and you have to start the next chapter, and you don't want there to be blockages in there, and I think that's the key thing to avoid. That doesn't mean there are no hard puzzles or there are no challenges. It just means, being smart about the player at least understanding exactly what it is they're trying to achieve, and, again, that they can get help if they want to just get through it. And I really do like also more choice-based stuff, there's some of that in Mobius, but it's probably going to be more of that in the next game.
What is the next game?
No!
So Amy, for more of an outside of the design aspect, and as playing adventure games, what are your thoughts on different puzzle types?
Well,
I mean,
I
play games, but
what?
I'm not sure how often you get to play games, but
I honestly haven't really played anything since a little farther back than I'll actually admit to right now. But my dad actually way back when got me into, believe it or not, Myst. And I got completely and totally hooked on that for a little while. Until my boyfriend, then later husband, found out that I did get hooked on it and kept trying to hand me off to different puzzle games and get me sitting at the computer, which I flatly refused to do. So I really haven't played much recently, but I mean, the ones that I did back then, that especially like Myst and the other ones that I got into for a little while, I absolutely love the ones like that. So I don't really know what more of the ones that have been put out recently have been like, but I know back then I really enjoyed them. So
Aaron, how about you?
What was the question again? Sorry.
So obviously comparing the sort of old school style of puzzles and adventure games versus more modern approaches, which tend to be a little more streamlined. And just any thoughts you have on the different types?
Let's see. I'd say my first adventure game was King's Quest V, I think. So,
Classic.
I started that before I played the first four, and I still have a soft spot for Cedric. I think it's been interesting to see the different experiments tried. Like, I did kind of like Gabriel Knight 2, Jane, how you made it actual characters and stuff. Actual actors, I mean. And, I do kind of miss the simplicity that there is with the old games, and I think that's why you see a lot more of these pixelated games showing up lately on Steam that are pretty popular. Because you can focus more on the gameplay versus the art, and it's like simplified to the extreme. So I don't know.
I think that's the interesting point about GK2. That was probably the most popular game of the entire series, and the puzzles were the easiest in that game. I think it was much more about uncovering the story and exploration.
Yeah, it's like we were talking about that recently, and I told you that I think that the reason why I like Gabriel Knight 2 so much is just because the story just kept flowing and flowing. I wasn't stopped at any point. I just kept like I wanted to know more, and I found out more like really fast without me getting frustrated or trying to solve any puzzles. And I think that depends on the kind of game as well, because if you're talking more like a game that doesn't have that much story, then it makes more sense to be more focused on the gameplay and on making hard puzzles. Like, for example, King's Quest. If you're not doing like a big overarching plot, then it makes more sense to like do more stuff on the puzzles.
Yeah.
Rich, Gavin, any other thoughts on puzzle designs?
Well, I think for me it's a bit of balance of both. What I liked about the earlier Sierra games was just the exploration, the ability to wander through a world and actually feel like you're interacting with it. I didn't necessarily need to have to do a complex puzzle, but just more you could interact with things and everything had multiple solutions. And I think that's ultimately the important thing, just keep the player engaged. Because nowadays, it is more streamlined. I think it's finding that balance of not just be sitting through a movie on your computer and having enough choices to be able to interact with the game is the important thing. Not just be watching, actually be engaged in the storyline, and actually have control over what's going on. Those are the important things that I think it's important to keep doing moving forward.
Absolutely, it's all about being in service to the narrative and the gameplay mechanics and the structure of the story and game that you want the player to experience. And as long as you can achieve that, the amount of puzzles or the complexity of puzzles will vary depending on the project. There's no real grand rubric I could prescribe to all adventure games for that purpose. I mean, I'm a big fan of Sierra, but my favorite adventure games will always be old Lucas titles like Grim Fandango. But every team will approach puzzles and games differently, and I think that's a good thing that we need to maintain. It's just the overall ambition should always be in service of the player, or the experience that you want the player to have, rather than just having puzzles because it's an obligatory part of what you think an adventure game is.
Yeah. Indeed. All right, and we're going to open up to some of our audience Q&A. We've got a couple of good questions coming in already, so continue to post those, and we'll work in the ones we can. Let's see. We've had an interesting one here. HikiFan89 was asking, Jane, what is it like having complete control over your games with your own studio?
Well, I think complete control is an illusion, unfortunately, in this world. For example, I'm working with this fantastic development team, and I think they would probably object to the idea that I have complete control. But no, I mean it's been great not having to, not personally working under a publisher or a executive producer who's or our marketing department who's constantly sort of putting their own we need to have this in the game, we need to have 3 red lights because of some advertising or whatever. I mean, So I mean, I think really for Mobius, I've had more creative control on this than I've ever had on any project before. So that's been. Aaron says there are 4 lights. It's been really good, and it's also been, challenging in ways I didn't expect, just in terms of, personally needing to take on a lot more business and producer stuff than I really had thought through initially. But it's been good. It's been good, I'm really excited to get Mobius out there and see how it actually does, since this